I got to be a little bit quieter because I got to be inside today, and my daughter is sleeping in the other room. So I am hopefully you guys can hear me and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and cover today the assignment on explosive fever called viruses. And this particular step right here is what most people are working on. And the idea behind this particular step is for you to kind of stop, think about what viruses are and how they fit into the ecosystem, how they tie into basically, your existence. Because without viruses, you wouldn't exist. So, this assignment here, the whole idea was to get familiar with what viruses are, and how they're different from living things, because we don't consider viruses to be living. And I had a video here for you to watch, and this was a Amoeba Sisters video, which I happen to like the Amoeba Sisters quite a bit because they can do a pretty decent job of breaking things down, though some things can be a little complicated. Anyways, point being, they go through what a virus is and is not, and kind of how they work, and why we don't consider them living things. So bacteria and archaea and fungi are all living things, but viruses are not. And the reason they aren't, and I actually have that, sorry, I clicked on the wrong link here. The reason they're not considered living things is because they can't reproduce unless they infect a host cell. So basically what that means is the only way a virus can make more copies of itself is if it gets inside of your body or a plant's body or a bacteria's body. So that's how it's actually different from bacteria and fungi. It can't reproduce on its own. It needs other things. It's also not necessarily a cell. So it has some viruses look like they might be cells, but they're not true cells. They don't have DNA and mitochondria and all the same stuff that cells do. So they're weird. That's the easiest way to think about viruses, as they are bizarre, strange things that we kind of sort of understand, but not greatly. So that's what this little part of the assignment was. What does a virus need in order to produce? It needs a host cell. How can viruses be useful? I can't remember the exact example that they give in here, but their viruses can be useful in population control and keeping deadly bacterias and fungi and other things at bay, because viruses mainly affect them. Bacteria don't have immune systems like we do. So they tend to, when a virus comes through for bacteria, they wipe them out, they kill them. So really, they keep bacteria and other harmful things that might be harmful lower. I give an example that they keep populations under control. So if you think about the Isle Royale, when we did that assignment with the moose and the wolves in Isle Royale, every time the population of moose would get very high and you'd have a whole lot of moose living in that one tiny island, the population density got really high. So what would happen is they would start passing around diseases. And we know, after looking at the data, if you guys remember that assignment, the Isle Royale, every time there would be a certain number of moose, so to speak, the population would crash because they would eat all the food that was in the area. They would basically chew all the trees and everything else down to nothing, to stubs, and they would all get diseases or they'd starve to death and die. So what viruses do is they keep populations from getting too dense and destroying the ecosystem. So they actually are a regulator to an extent. And that's something that is going to come up in these other bits here. I was going to pull up something on the Isle Royale. Royale population. I believe it'll pop up pretty quick as a thing. Yeah, so showing you just really quick back over to this example of the moose. every time the moose population would skyrocket, it would then plummet, and that would be because of disease and or starvation. So viruses play an important role in that, keeping populations from getting too crazy. All right, so then that brings us to the bottom half of this assignment. And I left a little note in here on this assignment here, that I'm not looking for correct answers necessarily. That doesn't mean just put whatever gobbledygook down that first comes to mind. The idea behind the second half of this is for you to really sit and think about how viruses play a role in our ecosystem, in our lives in general, and how they have just played a role overall in the development of life. And the one thing I also mentioned in this was that it's really hard to find material on viruses for middle school kids that talk about how they impact ecosystems and things. There's a lot of stuff out there that talks about how viruses work for middle school science, but nothing about how they fit into the ecosystem. That's all like high school and college stuff. So these videos might be a little bit tough. So I make that disclaimer here, simply pointing out I'm trying to invoke some thought. I'm trying to spur your mind into thinking about this in a little bit deeper fashion instead of just, kind of going through it and throwing down some answers. So watch as many of these videos as you need to. There's this Dr. Binoc is probably the simplest one for you guys to watch. Excuse the ad there. And this Dr. Binoc will kind of go through some of how they're useful and what they do and all of that. But then there's also some other videos here, like this TEDx video. And this TEDx video is, like I said before, some of these are going to be a little bit more advanced, but this is a really good video to watch if you're trying to answer these questions. How do viruses impact us positively and negatively? So again, same thing with the other two videos on here. So they basically get harder as you go in the list. So the easiest one is the first one. The hardest one to understand is the last one, because this last one is literally just a dude talking about exactly what I'm asking you to think about. And he's a marine biologist, so don't worry. So anyways, he's not some random crazy guy that I found online. I promise you that. Okay. So anyways, I want you to kind of answer these questions. And then the last question on here for meditate is for you to think about, well, if it weren't for viruses, what would the planet look like today? And that is, again, this is kind of leading you up to, well, what would things look like if you didn't have this up here? If they weren't serving these functions, if they weren't changing our DNA, so on and so forth. So that is the virus's assignment. Now, again, as always, everything is located under classwork. And if you go to Curing Explosive Fever Step Viruses, this is where your work is. You can already see 4 people from 6 hours turned it in. I think total 10 people have turned this in. So about 10%. So that is why I am not going to be unveiling any other steps until Wednesday. And I take that back. There is one new step, and that's what I have Classcraft open for, and that is Journey's End. So when you finish this quest, when you finish viruses, you're technically done with the quest. If you care to get the reward for going to the end of the quest, click on Journey's End, watch the little video from the Archmage here talking about your quest, what you just learned. I have some information in here on top of just me talking. It's not just me saying, hey, congratulations. I actually put a little bit of info in here about viruses as well. So this is actually your last step for the quest. I just approved it, Valeria, so try again. And if it doesn't work, remember, use your personal account or just log out of your account in general. And then it will let you watch whatever YouTube video. It has to do with your student account not being approved. Again, I just clicked this like 5 minutes ago, so you should be able to watch it at this point. If not, just go to your own account, personal account. or just log out totally and not be logged in as any account, and you'll be able to watch it. So you don't have to have an account to watch YouTube videos. Just remember that. Sometimes I forget to hit this button. I'm sorry, it's annoying. I have to switch accounts every time. So anyways, nothing's perfect. Nothing can be perfect, guys. I don't understand. Anyways, all right. So that is curing explosive fever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I figured it was kind of a good time to go ahead and go over this stuff, going over viruses and cures and all that, since we're right in the middle of a pandemic. So here's what's going on next week, and actually starting this week. So before I let you guys go, I'll go on ahead and show you what we're doing next. Path of Invisible Spirits is going to pop up. It's going to pop up Wednesday. I've already got the first couple steps done on this, but I want to add in some acted material that I have for you. And the acted material is actually already on YouTube. I'm not going to show you what it looks like yet, but I have been using my my camera, my green screen, and all of that stuff to shoot some videos for some of these quests as well. So I just got done doing that this morning, shooting some of the videos. And I've got the editing done for one of them. And once I have everything loaded up, which should be by Wednesday morning, I will load up the first step or first two steps of the Path of Invisible Spirits. And the Path of Invisible Spirits is a play on words. So you guys will hopefully get the pun there once you get into this. So this is basically on making alcohol or ethanol, how we use biology and chemistry to do that. And I've got a lot of stuff for you here, and this is the last quest. So once we finish up the Path of Invisible Spirits, that's it. So do you short ones have any questions for me before I let you go? This was just me getting up here real quick to go over some stuff and answer any questions if you had them. Yeah, so Invisible Spirits is going to be the last quest. Once we're done with it, it's only going to have about 3 or 4 steps. And then, yeah, after that, you guys are done for the year. There's only 9 days left. One quick reminder before I let you go. Next week is going to be the time for you to go pick up your stuff from the school. So whatever you left behind in your lockers and whatnot, we teachers this week are getting together and putting them in bags or boxes for you so you can come pick them up next week. So just keep that in mind. Keep working only about 30 minutes a day. You don't have to work any harder than that. And I'll catch you guys later.